I get it. You're staring at a list of synths that all promise next-level sound, and you're wondering if you're about to drop a few $100s on something that will just sit idle in the corner. The fear of buying the wrong gear is real, especially when a synth can be the centerpiece of your studio or the occasional novelty that gathers dust. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon, but before you click, let's walk through why the Arturia PolyBrute might actually be the right fit for you, and where it could end up feeling like a mismatch. First off, the PolyBrute lands in the analog morphing niche, which is a mouthful but essentially means you get a true analog signal path that can glide between two completely different timbres in real time. If you've ever tried to blend a fat, resonant bass with a bright, airy pad and found yourself stuck toggling patches, this morphing engine is built to solve that exact workflow pain point. The keyboard itself is 61 keys, velocity sensitive and equipped with aftertouch, so you can shape a note's character as you hold it down, something that instantly feels more expressive than a static VST. On top of that you get a ribbon controller, a dedicated mod wheel, a pitch bend lever, and the Morphy touch-sensitive pad that reacts to pressure in 3 dimensions. In practice, that means you can assign one parameter to the z-axis, another to y, and a third to pressure, giving you a performance surface that feels more like a musical instrument than a menu-driven interface. Now, who actually benefits from that kind of control? If you're a producer who spends a lot of time crafting evolving textures, think ambient soundscapes, cinematic scores, or progressive electronic tracks, being able to morph between 2 presets while you play can cut hours of automation work. Imagine you have a warm, analog string pad as A and a gritty, metallic lead as B. With a single swipe across the Morphy pad you can transition from a lush backdrop to an ear-catching solo, all while keeping the same patch alive. That fluidity is a genuine time saver for someone who likes to improvise on the fly or who wants to capture that organic, human-like movement in a live setting. On the other hand, if your workflow revolves around tight, quantized EDM drops where you program every parameter into a DAW and rarely touch hardware knobs, the PolyBrute's hands-on performance features might feel like overkill. You could achieve similar morphing results with a software solution and a few automation lanes, and you'd save both desk space and the learning curve that comes with mapping a 1232 modulation matrix. So, for producers who are comfortable staying inside the box, the PolyBrute might be more of a novelty than a necessity. Let's talk about the modulation matrix because that's where the PolyBrute truly separates itself from a lot of entry-level analog synths. 12 rows and 32 columns give you the ability to route almost any source to any destination: LFOS, envelopes, the ribbon, aftertouch, you name it. In a real-world studio session I've seen a sound designer use the matrix to make the filter cutoff respond to the velocity of each note and to the position of the ribbon, creating a kind of playing dynamics that reacts differently depending on how hard you strike a chord and where you swipe your finger. That kind of depth means you can build patches that evolve without you having to constantly turn knobs, which is a big win for live performance or for composing without getting stuck in micromanagement. However, the matrix isn't without its quirks. Because it's fully programmable, there's a non-trivial amount of menu diving required to set up complex routings. Newcomers may find themselves scrolling through layers of options before they can hear any sound, and the on-screen display, while functional, doesn't give you a visual representation of the signal flow. If you're the type who likes to see a patch diagram at a glance, you'll likely have to sketch it out on paper or rely on a third-party editor, which adds a small friction point. The built-in sequencer is another practical piece of the puzzle. 64 steps of polyphonic sequencing let you program up to 6 voice patterns that can be played back while you tweak other parameters. For a composer who likes to sketch out a bass line, layer a chord progression, and then morph the whole thing into a new texture all from the same hardware, this is a genuine workflow accelerator. The sequencer also supports per-step pitch bends and gate length adjustments, which means you can program subtle rhythmic swings directly into the synth rather than relying on external DAW automation. A drawback that surfaces after a few weeks of use is the lack of external CV/gate connectivity. While the PolyBrute talks MIDI perfectly and even offers USB audio over, the analog world still favors CV for modular setups. If you have a Eurorack rig and want to drive the PolyBrute's oscillators or filter directly from a CV source, you'll need an extra MIDI to CV converter. That adds cost and complexity, and it's something that more modular-oriented users will notice right